was found in those limbs, which we later was alleged kidney pool that was apparently ordered by David and used to as a base to kind of dismember the body and try and keep the blood inside, I guess, while he allegedly dismembered the body. So they actually showed a picture of the blue piece of plastic embedded in those electrodes, and he saw absolutely everything. He saw that, saw the blue in the edges. And I don't mean to disrespect him, I'm just saying this, especially people like the message. It looked like something from the picture shop. It looked like a kind of meat face, like a large kind of meat. I can see it in the shop, just as far as, it just was completely, you used to see human beings in there really critical, and you're just not used to seeing it just destroyed to that degree, to the point that it looks like something that's been, you get the bits of blue plastic in there were, I don't want to make that comparison anymore, so I think that's necessarily the right comparison to make, but that's just my honest thought. It just looked, like you were looking at something, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone, but it looked almost like something from a recipe book, like raw meat that was being prepared, was kind of, plastic.
Good health.
Something like that. Absolutely disgusting.
Thank you, Colonel Monroe.
Mistake to leave a human being in this recipe.
Did you learn more about our conspirator than I remember?
But that's the
Well, only the base of operations is a French fort further down the route.
There's so few references.
Little close for comfort, isn't it? If the French have installed a fort in the territory, they are likely preparing an assault. New York will burn it.
For a really long time,
You
I
joined
felt like
us,
I
Master
didn't
Conrad.
fit into my life anymore. Therapy has honestly been so helpful. I've been doing
Enough
online
innocents
therapy
have died
for
already.
over a few years now. And
Might
for
I
my study,
suggest
it's
we
always been
improve
helpful,
our
but
vessel?
especially
The
for
more
this
given to
really, like,
with a few more supplies, she could be
you don't know
useful.
which
And there's a French outpost nearby, I happen to know.
I like the sound of that.
And they did point out that the ring and the left knee key finger were missing. And they showed us pictures of both the remaining hands and the tattoos on them. And they did show us the hands, the fingers of the very jagged cuts where they'd been cut. And we saw the shush hand of the right index finger. This shush tattoo. And it was a very clear tattoo, honestly. It looked like a fresh tattoo, very dark black. It looked fresh. It looked like a new dark black tattoo. And the black tattoo that we know probably is no fade on the solid brown. It looked very deep and dark. The detective said there was no face or facial features to speak of whatsoever. They're completely unidentifiable.
What sort of business are the French up to there? Just occupying the territory?
It is an economic incursion more than geographic. Some of the ruffians are sponsored by enemy. They intend to undermine local authority.
I've heard they steal fields of villages and resell as social goods for 10 times the price.
Always a little fella for Colonel, you and Miss Tier seem inspired. Is there something in the wall?
Why do you think
About our intentions towards our fellow man.
I understand, but there is no need. I simply want these colonies to be a place of safety, development, and purpose.
Funny. I thought Richmond wanted them to be a place of profit.
I am not a rich man, poor man. Money is a means to an end, not an end in and of itself.
July 29, the receipt itself had been time, and they were able to get surveillance video and this big detective taking us around for a drive through the SLS, and they got the surveillance video. They had some interacting with the Tesla, and they observed the car being driven from the city to a Ross SLS, back 2 years property, where the car was eventually left. And basically, there's sort of been debate about exactly where the property was located, but it's kind of like the property where the car was taken outside of the sort of big mansion. of screenshots of the Tesla infotainment system. They actually cross-reference that with David's iCloud, and they were able to confirm that his iPhone was connected to the car when he had driven it, and they tracked it. And quite generally, they said that the iPhone that he'd used to connect to the car was an in-name, you in-name iPhone, its name, it was called the Tranquilizer, interestingly enough. So that phone connected to an iCloud account, it had one email address connected to it, and they were able to kind of get access to all of that. But interestingly, they said they haven't been able to initially find the actual physical copy of David's iPhone 16 Pro that had been connected to this car. Now, that film has anything to his phone and basically claimed that his iCloud account was the US. They read out his iCloud account, his Gmail account, Gmail accounts in the corner, but I won't repost it now, just in case. They said his phone was last connected to that Tesla on the 29th of July 2025. That was the last time the car was driven, and it was left there. I'll tell you what, so they basically had an extraction report that confirmed that his phone was connected to that Tesla. They used a software called Cellbrite, and they actually sent a warrant to Apple, which gives them a full record of all the data of everything from that phone, which they can put into the Cellbrite software. That's how they can record the full report of everything that the phone has done. So the defense kind of objected to this. They said that the detective didn't participate in the extraction. Cellbrite. The extraction and made a 90-point witness that the drug most of the candidates in there. Cellbrite. So that's all the next. He's actually used the Cellbrite technology. Basically went on to claim that they have an FBI and ED laboratories that they can use to carry out the Cellbrite extractions. He said that he sits on the board with other psychotectives in other states. They all discuss how they get information from business, cell phones and Cellbrite services, and the Cellbrite software is used across the country. So he made it very clear that he was actually a credible witness on this basis.
This difference is where your ideas become paired with signage that makes people stop or function. This brings another big part of regulating your nervous system is being able to sit back and slow down and process exactly what is going on. That makes starting therapy feel a lot less overwhelming. You're able to just take a quiz, get matched therapists, and you get to talk at your comfort level. Just through phone call or through video. And let's just say it's not the right fit. You can switch your therapist at any time at no extra cost. Having that kind of consistent support really helps you regulate in a way that is indescribable. You're able to really be able to process your emotion with an unbiased opinion. You're able to get out when you're going. You feel less tense, less anxious. After a session with speaking with someone, I literally just feel so much more grounded and I have more clarity whenever I'm having a great one-on-one session with a therapist. If you've been wanting to seek better care of your emotional and mental health, this is a great place to start.
So I'm really not help you with that. So the Cellbrite extraction basically given him responsible warrant that was sent directly to Apple. And he basically explained how the responsible extraction will filter from contacts, connected devices, dates, times, artifacts, photos, videos. They can see that it connected to the Tesla Model X. They connected to the Tesla Model X software, also connected to the hardware in the tow yard. And they basically said that this Cellbrite extraction using hundreds of thousands of pages of information is way beyond what your phone stores on it. It is like what the phone company or what Apple. This is people talk about, oh yeah, delete your iCloud. You then look back, delete my iCloud, it's the same job, you know. No, the feds are, and Apple is going to supply the feds thousands of pages of information they kept when it happened. And they said there was so much information just from this phone. They had 6 terabytes of data just from this phone. The iPhone doesn't even hold 6 terabytes of data. Let's store it in the cloud and the phone service provider. Your Tesla, I don't even know where it's going. Right? They talk about, oh, you code out of 38 terabytes out of this thing from a spinner.
C'était quoi ça? C'était avant qu'on
So it is actually insane how much information they can get. So now terabytes of information. And that's just so we share that the actual photos of Tesla's infotainment system. claims away that were iCloud accounts that he had that had been connected. And there was one particular iCloud account that had the most data in it, I what it's called. And they said this is how they found out that he took that trip to Santa Barbara in April 23rd, right after the alleged murder had taken place. There was basically access to his navigation system. He also found his way to a charger in Lake Luna and Santa Ynez Valley. And they reviewed neighborhood statements videos from his property on the 29th of July, which is the last day he drove the car. So they went to Ross Dressel S, came back, and they found a neighbor's camera in the area, which observed David parking the car, getting out of the car, walking on the side back, right into his front address, and that was where the car was left. They basically said they see exactly where he came from, past multiple cameras, parked the car down the street, and walked through an alleyway back into his house, probably thought he wasn't being watched. Okay? What happened is he left the car there, he was the last person to drive the car, and they said, they showed him what they did basically, walking into his house after the last part of the car on the drive, I believe it is. It's not 29th of July, it's 2025, and it showed David walking from the car, went to his house, into his house. So, images were then presented of the father of the car, down to the rear trunk, which was still there, and evidence in the images when the car was found in a tow yard. They basically reviewed license plate readers and they identified the car and remained in that very same spot since the 29th of July, the day it was towed. And people say, well, how does that work? They said, well, any police car that drives down that street has automatic license plate recognition, and basically they clocked that car in the same spot numerous times as the car was still driving through the area. They've got control of that, they think that this subject is possible. But the cops did literally determine to license plate recognition that car did not move a single time until it was found with the body of the drone. And it doesn't sound like there was any opportunity for them to walk down an alleyway in an open street where there were surveillance cameras and neighbours and still reserved when they left the car. The body was in the car when drove across Dressel S. Insanity. So, interestingly enough, obviously Celeste's father was actually in the court with Celeste's mother. What is his name? Apparently he actually called the LAPD on September the 10th, called the communications line, and detectives were notified. There's media and helicopters were there when the Tesla was still out of the yard, and the media kind of made a very big deal about this thing David and his car being found with a body inside of it. So media even followed the car from the Toyota to the LAPD. And Celeste's father basically got in touch with the LAPD. They spoke with him as an interpreter, he was his own son actually, so Celeste's brother was an interpreter for the father in the LAPD, and he basically said, based on the media reports that he'd seen and the connection to David, that he thinks it might be his daughter in that car. So the father didn't know Celeste for the first time, but a man that apparently called her, and basically the detective got in touch with Celeste's dentist through her father to basically request the dental record because she was unidentifiable. They hadn't found it. Celeste's mom, like I said, I can really see her, but she kind of shook her head. So it's just her head was just small. It's safe affairs. So basically from there, they had David's address where he was at, and that's when they served the search warrant. So the detectives in the LAPD's robbery homicide division, they got to searching for properties against the identified Celeste on the 16th. They already had David's address, and then they basically got permission to search on the 17th. So they weren't dragging their feet like a lot of people thought, but I can make it more about why the arrest was not laid down the line. So they served the search warrant, and detectives, forensic scientists, they all descended on David's property, and they showed photos. The Tesla registered on the garage. Not registered. David's manager and personal assistant has been described. That was very, very interesting this morning. Is they did not mention blood samples. Now, I was told, I mean, I read it, had it earlier paperwork, that they had the blood samples in the garage, not mentioned blood. That would have So, that was a bit strange. in the row, and the electric boat was handled. They didn't mention that. The Great Tesla was knocked over it. They were like parking off the top of where allegedly this number was taking place, I guess, but I don't know for sure. That was not elaborated on my side of the flight. So they found an iPhone in the upstairs. This is an iPhone. They did something to the iPhone 16 that had apparently some progress information connected to David's Tesla. They said they believe the funds were David's. Eventually, the staff had selfies and pictures of David, his own passport, driver's license on it. They determined it was his. They also said behind the piano they found that silver bowl. It was labeled with the delivery from and then name David on our way. And they also used our here. Also, if you saw the video I did yesterday, it got deleted. So I was privacy and stuff with David. They confirmed airline tickets were real. They said that PC email account linked to that PC had purchased airline tickets for both Celeste and David. This plane ticket thing has been circulating in the media improperly to come up. Alright, that's not going to be assistant DA confirmed that information. Those flight tickets were real. That was the end of that. So they basically said, look, we got subpoenaed information from his iCloud account, his AT&T account, his Uber, his Postmates, his Amazon. This Amazon account is granted under a separate database. So the feds are involved on their own. And they basically said, all these Apple purchases under a federal.
Donc, je me suis enrôlé,
Vraiment. Amazon.
C'était quoi ça?
Airplanes from phones to desktops to servers make scale and growth possible for everyone. But every mismanaged network destroys efficient technologies and other jobs. IT days of devices to tools demanding immediate attention. Ninja One unifies IT to support one platform to manage, protect, and support endpoints in one place, reduce spend, boost resilience, and minimize user friction with Ninja One.
Ramassis de mercenaires. Je n'aurais jamais pu dire ça à un parfait étranger, mais je vous dois la vie.
So I'm going to keep going with that, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I'm probably going to split this video into half. So it took quite a long time, and also I want to kind of separate some of these topics so I don't get too carried away or read too many things in my video. So in my notes here, basically, after this, there was a brief recess, and then the detective kind of came back and continued his testimony. The district deputy DA kind of continued grilling him, and that's when they started discussing all of the stuff that he purchased from Amazon, the body bags, things like that. Now, I'm wondering whether I should maybe do a different video on everything that he bought from Amazon, because I wrote down as much as I possibly could, and I was actually going to be some of the exact same items from Amazon. So I'll tell you what, let me wrap it up there, because I feel like this video is kind of the perfect one with all the details of the sound of the toy yard, and I'm going to do another video that's going to go into detail on what the sound of the Amazon account. So I'm kind of still absolute utmost respect for Celeste and her family. Rest in peace to her. Just wanted to see what went down, but I'm promising to know that justice is going to be done, and justice not turning. So I'll be back with another video. I'm going to do 2 more videos notes on this topic tonight. I'm going to go to bed, I'm exhausted, and then I'll be hopefully back to tomorrow, but we'll see. If I get to tomorrow, then it's what it is. Very fair today, so I can't complain. So I'll let you guys know as soon as I know. But yeah, I'll be back with another breakdown, do a separate video on this topic, and then you can let me know what you thought of this one. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting. That is it for me. I'll see you in the next one. Okay?
Splendid! That fort and the defenders will tremble before the Morrigan.
Your ship is in fine form, Master Cormac. That fort should offer no resistance.
I rather hope the frogs offer some.
Never wish for battle after this. There is plenty of room for any field.
Besides, if we find the fort's commander, the French will surrender, no?
Indeed, that is a sensible strategy. We will have to wear down the fort's defenses first. Otherwise, we will just dig in, wound it bare.
UK, we just had a very, very intense argument on testimony. The second detective was leading the case against David, and it's every single time this is the worst stuff. It's not the most shocking one saying stuff, but it was just not I'm going to very sensitively describe maybe some of these as well. They described them in great detail, and it was disgusting. This guy is disgusting. Okay, it was gross. The stuff is exactly what I that was horrible on its own. And then they showed a bunch of BT images of them two kissing on the lips, laying in bed together, kissing each other on the cheek. In the car, they built a picture, I think I mentioned it earlier, I did, basically, there's a picture where she was kind of taking a picture of them, I was taking a picture of David like this, and I'm holding it, like, people focus on the camera. It's like, imagine that being, I don't know, it's like, imagine that post there, that pole is David, right? And she's holding up a plan B next to him. That's David, she's holding up a plan B next to him, and literal plan B and there's a contraceptive next to him. Those are the pictures that were on his phone, on his device, okay? And he snitched on himself. Satisfied that we ate when he snitches of the fact that he's got to release any single pictures of my home, the whole picture of it, plan B. It was just mental, it's just mental. And then once the other got to know this stuff, you have to take a little bit more to describe it. It's not a text relationship. It started with a breakup. That's explicitly fine as it is. Well, in a conversation, basically, relations This guy was seriously very, very smart, and he's one of this element of very, very interesting. He said, he was incredible, and this is one thing I'm going to read all the text here, but I'll give you a brief.
Yes, sir.
Actually sit down and read all the text. I'll give you
So long.
basically, it's an
Were you on any special mission?
Yes. From Achilles.
examine the phone.
How interesting. So am I.
Don't make me do this, Mr. Papa.
I thought that was your special.
We could both just leave.
But then I will tell your brothers that you are alive. You have to kill me.
He basically said, search the house, the house, and he's taking out the slide.
Resistance is knocking off
They found various artifacts that made them believe that they could
Always good at your business.
his actual phone.
As we usual. Tell me, what are you doing in land?
Special weapons. Poisonous gases to use against colonial authorities. I am merely a delivery.
Security guard was taking David and Celeste around to nightclubs in LA.
And near your final delivery, be swift.
So it's only some selfies, credit card pictures of his phone, his credit card, a parking ticket for the Tesla, it was his okay, and now we see all these pictures online of like David and Tesla on the top next to his head, and David his code. These are the things that are complicated, probably stupid enough to post online. But in his phone, there's just straight up the top of his hand select. He's driving the Tesla that she was found in. She's taking a selfie. It's clearly her with the red-dyed hair. Hella selfies of them. Them two together, they were completely they were together.
The assassins find out you're alive.
Just
Then come after them.
self-snitching to that nth degree. It's insane. There was actually one really honestly disgusting picture where it was there was a picture of them two putting their hands together like that. Just a picture of their hands in the air. Her hand looked so tiny next to his hand. Just disgusting. And clearly they use that image amongst many of the images that were there to just prove she was a minor. So small, it was a tiny little kitty handprint next to his big ass 18-year-old hand. Look at how these hands are. Oh, her hands are tiny, and that picture really.
While you were busy taking down that corpse, I happened to stumble upon the treasury. Amongst them, I found marks and charts detailing various.
Very previously had from the autopsy disgusting. So he actually proposed to her, thought that they were getting married. She was wearing a literal engagement ring on her wedding ring finger, and she had the David tattoos on her finger that was carved as well. So we saw images of the shush tattoos on her hands, fun stuff, the engagement ring. There's an image of her engagement ring that's been going on Reddit for quite some time. And we saw that, we saw a more detailed, better picture of the engagement ring, them two holding hands. Absolutely cool. All this stuff was going around, and people were like, oh, we've seen. No, that was all their stuff. That was all really what was going on. So there was that going on. All right. We saw pictures of them together in the Tesla. We saw her taking selfies with him. I already told you that. And it was actually quite sad because the mum and dad of Celeste were in the call, and they seemed quite upset by these images. And we barely got started. And so as things went on, the deputy DA Bessel actually turned around and said, I don't know if you should say this stuff.
The Colonel thanks and congratulates you, Shane. He has returned to New York.
So that was kind of... I was just sad to see them get upset, and then for them to just get the way so quickly here, they started it just heartbreaking. There was pictures of them in there kissing in the house. In the house, right? That second house, that house that basically was the big house that they swapped for blood, and the blue light, the blue star shone up like a Christmas tree when they found that the suspected bullet in the bedroom of that property. There's pictures of David and Celeste in bed kissing on the bed. We don't even need to see these legal videos. That's what they were allowed to show us. And Blair Clark and the defense tried to keep objecting, and the judge is like, they were like, oh, there's no grounds for there's no foundation for these pictures. And the judge was like, these pictures speak for themselves. And who they are, the defendants are, who the phone is. You don't need to lay foundation. These are the defendants. The defendant and the victim kissing on the lips inside the property. And all the reactive spray just lit up blue, and what more do you need from that? So that was really interesting. And so at a certain point, they basically started describing all of the illegal videos, and they described 48 images. I'll describe some of them, and I'll kind of just give you a very crude, broad overview of them without being too offensive. I really don't want to offend anyone with this, but I also don't want to say anything that will cause any problems, cause any offense. So, trigger warning, even though I'm going to make use of metaphors to describe what we're describing before, the video is shocking. All of this apparently was images, videos that were captured by David himself or by Celeste while she was 13 and he was 18. No, he was 13, he was a minor. He was 18, she was 13. They made that very, very clear on California. And they basically stopped every now and then to go, can we just remind everybody how old was she? And she was 13 for all the messages. So, they described the pictures and didn't show up. There was basically, apologies if this is not the right way to describe this, but it was full-blown relations, captured video, started to them both ways, their bodies, both parties, and fluids from unidentified fluids. They sounded like fluids from the male side of the relationship. They said that the background these songs consistent with David's property. I won't see the address, they said the address. You can't party on the property. Some photos that show her face where she had doing red hair that was established in the previous pictures where she's taking selfies of her before with red hair. Absolutely. A picture of the two of them trapped embracing each other as his phone lock screen. The guy had a legal photo as his phone lock screen. Just not only despicable and disgusting, also like idiot of the year award. The guy had a phone full of evidence he was discussing. So they basically went through the qualification of an illegal video. I'm not even going to say the letters, but what they call it starts with a C, there's a couple of letters in there. You know what I'm talking about. They basically defined what an illegal video is for those intents and purposes. They said, we're not going to show them what we've got. Paper artifacts or first we're going to put them on paper and both of them will instead on either side of the page. They said that they're image. No one in the crowd could see any of the images. Thank God. Now, there was kind of a little bit back and forth. There was kind of objecting to the relevance of the dating and said, oh, they've added like extra little speaking tabs to say which day things happened. The judge was really trying to hear it. And then Blair objected to the dates being on the phone by saying, how many of these dates? The judge was like, look, if you want to challenge it, fine, but you can't just object to everything that happens. How do you get the dates? It's pretty well established how they get the dates. It's not from an iPhone. See when the images, dates of these images are great. And so there basically was arguing, said, oh, we think This is an extraction report, not images from a phone. These are extracted. The dates are extracted from the extraction report, and the images are separate from the phone. Judging from here, there's no shot. Ironically, it's regional whiskies we will use. So that's it. They retrieve the house search. They go to the LAPD department and extract these type of illegal videos and something messy. And they look at them in a secure facility. And then basically describe the videos as defined as illegal videos and something messy that show a child that engaged in illegal acts. That's what I'm going to say. So I mean, there are a lot of duplicates of these images. I mean, the fact that his
Master Cormac. What you have learned from Le Chasseur is confirmed. The local lawbreakers are changing tactics.
What's their plan now?
The boss has hired Benjamin Franklin to produce new weapons for them. He's very well guarded.
Benjamin Franklin. The scientist?
You have heard of him? Good. He is making equipment to spread gases among the populace. Toxic ones, as it turns out.
The populace. I thought they would use it against the authorities. Though that would be terrible as well.
The ruffians we have arrested refer to the intimidating woman. I believe she's behind these nefarious plans.
I'll look into this.
Thank you.
What this really is was just a line-by-line explanation of inventory of these illegal videos.
I pray it's not you.
The videos of David performing illegal acts. There's in the picture of the body, there's pictures of an African-American male throwing himself off inappropriately, that would have been transmitted in a context of a conversation which would not be legal, right? If you understand what I'm trying to say with that. There was a picture of him behind her in an illegal position. While this is going on, David's lawyers were scrambling. They asked for reports, they were highlighting. And that same thing that I was shielding David, so I can't really see David beyond that, but he was actually writing quite a lot of stuff during this period of time. These guys were absolutely scrambling. They were in shambles at this point. So obviously, Celeste's family were left at the. It was kind of like sort of their little moment when the boys were scrambling, but the family also left. The parents ended up being in the coordinates and they took an opportunity to carry them. So the multiple images that he had taken off themselves. I shouldn't see the face, but they were basically identifying the male makes some sense on his and other places in some sort of Celeste doing stuff images that were setting and unfolding parts. New picture flexing close-up of the female parts. It's explained that there was one of the defendants naked on his knees, and the person over the colours with sticking out and red visible. Lots of references to African-American men holding parts, touching parts. Being touched and grabbed. Pictures of the defendant laying his head on somebody's most sensitive part of that body that you wouldn't show to the public, if that makes sense. Even if they took that from a female parts being touched by pictures of smiling, laying his head upon parts of somebody that they shouldn't have. Picture of the defendant naked in the shower, holding his parts, looks obviously the lock screen on its own. Defendant allegedly just more and more kissing, body, different parts being exposed. During this time, I feel like David kind of pulled his head out a little bit for them. When I could see him, he was looking frustrated. He was like, they were just discussing the stuff that was being read. So there's all this kind of stuff. It's his head next to the illicit conversation have falls down, sweat and notes exposing some things, and making kissing faces, whilst posing with others and things. You get the gist. 48 instances of this, that's basically the they got into specifics. Yeah. It's one of the paper notes, or just a very brief summary of what was going on. So after that, we then got to the text messages that was saved in the iCloud. And you know what I think we're going to do? How long are we going to record it for? We're going to say 18 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll give you a very brief summary of some of the messages that were sent. What I might do is actually go home and actually read you all my notes. And I tried to write down pretty much every side of every conversation that they had. And there were only a few messages that were
Shay! It is good to see you again. Your friend Hope said you were away.
Sir, I've come to collect the results of your experiments.
Oh, well, it's a very good thing. I just finished fixing the prototype. Here you go. I was preparing to leave for Philadelphia, and then yours. I was delighted to lecture in London. Oh, would you be so kind as to inform Mistress Hope?
Of course.
Messaging system. We didn't hear about the Discord right now.
God, what are you doing with these felons? The city against itself. What have you?
Something the matter, Mr. Cormac?
No. Yes, just memories.
When I am issued new recruits burdened with regrets, I tell them the surest way to lose them is with gun.
She originally was killed April 23rd, 2025, and then just still talking after that. It's just so blatantly obvious what had gone on, and the fact that there was a flimsy attempt to cover this up. None of that's even come about
This
yet.
prototype sounds very powerful. Use it with care. Our intelligence says this thing destroys certain fortifications, as well as injure several enemies at once. There is also a more subtle. Some of these grenades contain strong acidity. Fire one to the crowd and they'll fall asleep. We should test this. Use it against that door. Use these grenades to destroy that door. Good work. Good work. There is an abandoned factory with a dangerous poison. Right now, it only causes.
And then there was kind of discussion about maybe she wasn't right afterwards. Constantly worried that it was happening again.
That's my first
target. We understand all the grievance.
She said, please, I'm still getting pregnant.
All the bad.
So they went through this for so many times, like so many different things. And like, I felt like during this part of the testimony, I would say that to describe him, I felt like he looked like John looked kind of weak like that. I don't know if you can actually feel like you're going to cry, you talk about this, and they're like, there's a little bit weak, it's not like it's not something, but not like, really. He looked like his one form was smoking over him, and he looked shook, and he was unbelievably sexy. You know, there was all kind of messages that I was talking about. Manifesting the idea of basically, he had told her to like start drinking Hyperion using an app. They kind of went back and forth. He admitted to his age that this was crazy. This was like, gosh, to the courtroom. He admitted that this was like, apparently the biggest aliens and some shit. Sometimes I go to my training in Vegas. Training in Vegas, well, the name of the people who punch yourself to your house after the murder. What the hell are you talking about? Tell me how you go my training in Vegas. That was it. Stay in the subsection. Unbelievable. Okay, so they went back and forth about it a bunch of times. About, you know, he said he didn't want to put her through it. He basically said, oh, why
If I mess with this, maybe I can break the whole system.
And he said, actually, it was 6. And then the pool would stop, and they're like, let's just rewind the pool. How old was she at this time? Like, she's 13 when he's saying all this. So it was Mexico, the Mexicans, they're going back and forth, sharing I love yous, going back and forth. He's apologising for putting her through all of this, making her get plan B, making her go to the clinic all these times. It was absolutely horrible. But one of the craziest things I was talking about, I was talking about this on a short a minute ago, he basically said to her, oh, awesome, it's going to be so amazing. So let me tell you this, what I believe this. He had something called Operation Awesome, and this was an operation that was planned February the 14th, 2024, Valentine's Day. That's when she went missing. He was apparently trying to have his security guards, and he had put him in the Tesla house, they went out to the else in the darkness night, stop sign, in a stop sign, she was going to run out with the money, to go away, and this be a problem, this bodyguard, to kidnap her from her boat, and move her full-time into the property. And you remember when that actually happened? That's when she went missing, and then the police came knocking on the door. And he later said, this was crazy, he later said, oh, I can't wait for us to be able to be together without the cops getting in the way and meddling, without wanting posters being in the way. He said that numerous times. He said, oh, yeah, these posters going around, it's like absolute insanity. You know, and I'm starting to think, like, I don't want to say sympathize, but I'm trying to think a little bit more age of passion, so I maybe with this missing poster for Celeste, and she claimed that, you know, she's lied about it and stuff. And it's like, so he was basically saying to us, I'm tired of people bringing up this missing poster for you. They're thinking, what on earth? So yeah, what do you got called? Operation Awesome. And she was like, oh, Operation Awesome's going to be so. I'll tell you this one message, because this is just fucking pissed me off. She texted him and said, Operation Awesome is going to be so hard. And he replied, he said, well, hard is it hard to do? Or hard like it's called Valencia? I said, oh, what the fuck? What are you talking about? And she said, oh, it's hard because they don't know what to bring. And then he's texting us, making full cancel, we've been over this. Basically, anything you can't away straight away, bring it. Ellen's makeup, jewelry, shoes. And she's like, I don't know how many bags to bring it, how am I going to bring it, I'm so small. It was just like, unbelievable, the stuff that we're going back and forth. So there was a lot more to it, and I'm going to read you one of the messages out of another video I want to get back. But basically, he said, I'm not saying that, but he said the name of this theory. He's like, oh, do you want me to get so-and-so to pull up and the stop sign around outside your house? Do you want me to get so-and-so to come help with your bags? We're thinking this guy is really arranging his security guards to do man service, Operation Awesome, which is to kidnap a 13-year-old from Africa to move her into this Hollywood mansion. Absolutely insanity. I need to hear what that security guard has to say. So basically, that went down.
You there, come over here.
So I was going on, there's fixing all throughout 2024, and basically documentation constantly, talking about all the things that they all the things that they do. Basically saying, like, just like stupid little things like
Resistance is not in your best interest. Desist! Blindside him!
She was saying she had a sore bar. He was like, you need to wash your hands. And she's like, I'm so sore. And then, I don't even get right to it this morning. It's we went, but yeah, we got all this baby Trump Hotel. They were going to stay at the Trump Hotel. We were going to stay at the Trump Hotel in Vegas with my I didn't want to touch that one. It's crazy. Okay, so they went to this whole bunch talking about the pregnancy. So she was constantly worried about the pregnancy. That was the last thing he even said. He said to her, oh my God, business credit card from you. And they'll write everything like it's a business expense. So he's connect tax for the well over here. He's got his minor girlfriend. A business credit card, and he's giving me in LA, so any clothes or food, whatever you want, you can buy from she can't have it. He said jewelry, like, unbelievable. She was taking it all while she was still alive, so she would still, she would get the answer to this all, but that was unbelievable. He made it contact to help anything. She was like, jewelry. This guy was not only a media, despicable, disgusting, example of media, also just a despicable sector of the business offenses. So they get onto the main charges. So one of the things that very much not see, but they talked about Celeste actually asked him and said, "Does your mum know your sex?" And he basically said, "Oh, she basically assumes that anytime as soon as we see each other, that's what we're going to do." That hinted towards her knowing something was going on, or at least having suspicions.
Are you
Crazy? And it was interesting because it was kind of like everything was good, and they're talking about hooking up every day, we do it all the time, all day. I need more videos to
Hold! Stay away! This is dangerous!
So yeah, if your mum probably had an SCN, she thinks that's the first thing we're going to do when we see each other. And then it seemed like there was this trip to Texas where basically she met a family, and basically Vessel pointed it out. And it seemed like one of the messages that was after that, it became back very much. I don't know if she wants me to family and then said something like that. Basically, it's something that sounds going on. There are a bunch of other little details about, she would cheat on her, the physical things that they've been doing together they shouldn't have. She was saying to her so much horrible stuff.
It will take more than that. This is dangerous!
He's need more keys, and obviously there was videos of him with him keys on his neck. And a lot of people find out that's not confirmed, it could be anything. Now, confirmed, he's texting us out, I need more keys, I need more videos. Just awful stuff. So, in addition to all of that, like, he was talking about mommy at point as well, so that later into that's what we did after. Like, this is mine. How you calling a 13-year-old mommy now with just the embarrassing stuff to do? It's insane. And like, she's calling it baby, he's calling her mommy. He's saying like, I'm not gonna say, but he's saying I want to do it everywhere. We have to go on the house here. He was talking to her marriage.
You there! Stop!
Maybe officially, we can go through that game at the end. And it seemed like at the end she was more upset. I killed her child. She was just trapped here. And she's a child, and she was killed eventually by this man. So basically, they fought this up. And eventually, David said, I really want to see that next one still, and it went so far that the light down. Basically, it was
You there! Come over here!
People used to be guys. I don't talk to girls anymore. I don't talk to anyone unless it's about music. Dating. We couldn't be together. We only be together 2 nights a week in the middle of the night. Things should be
I must get out, or I'm as good as dead.
Final communication, at least one of the late end last time they spoke on March 14th, 2025, they discussed hooking up and basically being like, this isn't working out, it's a relationship, and it's terrible. Just like so much, just like horrific, damning evidence that I honestly just like completely just stupid this guy was.
What marvelous destruction, Captain. I saw the smoke all the way from the morning.
That should discourage those miscreants. New York is safe now.
With all due respect, Colonel, it's going to take more than a few explosions to get rid of this kind of trouble.
The boy is right, Colonel Monroe.
Shay, congratulations. You just burned a whole lot of rats out of New York. I'm Jack Lewis. This is William Johnson. I don't know about you. I'm pleased to meet you.
It is terribly dusty here. I'm sure Shay can recount his adventures to us over a pint. Hey, the first rounds are the curve.
Pretty much every single attempt that you have to
some areas will do you
go anywhere. The best thing he can do is plead guilty, take the death penalty off the table. At least he can sit in a cell for the rest of his life without being put down like a fucking sick dog, which is really might be what you deserve if you believe so. But right now it's still, allegedly. Allegedly, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the death penalty if he takes this to trial because the evidence is so damning. Not only is it obvious that he did it, but it's obvious that like he is a absolutely awful human being, allegedly, in my opinion. But anyway, it's just despicable the stuff that's coming out. So that's kind of all of it. That was like everything else that went down today. I just want to say a big shout out to all of the courthouse staff. Obviously, it's been a very stressful, very tiring hearing. You know, tensions are running high. 3 people got kicked out yesterday, fortunately. Kicked out today. But I did see a girl getting a bit of talking to in the hallway. I didn't find out what happened with that. I do want to know that they're okay, because I'm not going to lie, getting advised by the judge or the DA or anybody looks pretty terrifying. I definitely want to make it very clear I have no respect for the deputy DA, the full-blown DA, everybody in the courtroom, the judge, even the defense. I've got that much respect for them, and really at the end of the day, everyone's participating in a really important process, which is just making sure that justice is delivered and society is safe, and that people are given a fair defense as well, if they are accused of things. You know, sometimes people get accused of things, they deserve a defense, sometimes they don't, and they get cooked, and we get to see absolutely everything that went down in a clear.
You have demonstrated your courage, resourcefulness to the Templars. And this despite the enemy perhaps puzzling Assassin's origins. The man who simply assassinated I reclaim the Grand Master himself charged me to discover its unknown task. I regret I have failed. I leave it in your charge. There is no one else I trust. Now I am for Fort William Henry, an ill-prepared garrison is surrounded by hostile natives and the French army. We have requested reinforcements, but I doubt they will be forthcoming. I have no illusions that our resistance will be successful. I commit my life to the charming home, and my soul to the father Protestant. Yours, Colonel George Monroe.
And the first day when we appeared, there was somebody from, I don't know, the media affairs department, that he was there to make a case for why cameras were beautiful. I didn't think they made a very good case whatsoever to be honest with you. And the judge basically was like, yeah, we're going to have cameras, and definitely going to have it, right? Because when they had the OJ trial, there were cameras that already saw the OJ trial being broadcast. It wasn't allowed in there, so I didn't think it was great for transparency.
Mind your post, mister. The Colonel's in trouble.
How do you mean, in trouble?
He's at Fort William Henry, facing impossible odds.
Get out there, lazy asses!
TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and just everybody.
And man your stations! We raise anchor! Sorry for the early migration, Captain. But you realize that it's been a whole year since we met? A whole year! Changed my life, you did. And for the better. You will forgive me if I have been celebrating without you.
A whole year. Yes, I have a question for you. How long have you known of my, well, former allegiance?
Oh, you mean the assassins? Man, you had ages ago, Jay. I may be drunk, but I'm not blind. Or did you...
I'm so grateful that they're not having to know that that makes the news of the only people that can actually talk about this stuff.
I would assume you had escaped from some homicidal circus.
Why didn't you say anything?
The Colonel wanted us to avoid the subject, so it wouldn't be a... You saved my life out of pure self-defense and helped countless others besides. If it were up to me, I would have made you an official Templar months ago. Oh, yes. The Grand Master of the Colonial Guard. You'd like this. His father was an assassin.
You must have a story to tell.
What is the news from Fort William Henry?
The garrison is surrounded, and reinforcements are late.
General Montcalm has been blazing a path across the colonies with King Louis, hasn't he?
I rather wish he stayed down with his mistress.
King or King Louis?
Either, though I suspect the king is finer.
Indeed. Madame O'Moon is supposed to be quite good charm.
Don't worry, it's in the French gin bag. Now I know the look of my leg.
Justice was the message done. It's no transparency, actually it's no transparency. So like these LA streets and that American jungle is safe.
That's quite a win, Captain.
It's going to be dealt with properly. It's going to be fair and reasonable justice, and it's going to be communicated.
Get the main says into the wind!
It's going to be incredible to see people on the truth. Basically, the good news. They decided to let people have the anybody can come down here and, you know, get to the they do a great job of it. We all appreciate it. Respond to it. So I just wanted to make that clear and just let you guys know that like, my intention is definitely just very pure when it comes to getting you guys that information for the program. And just genuinely being a good reporter. I'm seeing this as an opportunity to do my best. To get into that room, make the best notes, give you guys the best updates, and make sure that I was spreading the word and keeping it so as to alive as the fight for justice for her continues. Thanks so much for watching this video. I will go back to my best. I'm going to read all of the messages this evening. I am so tired, but I will do another video for you guys to break down all the messages. And I've got a lot of other unrelated projects to catch up on this weekend, so I was just so busy on the Wilson, but it's all good. And thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Bye.